And I said, what about Breakfast at Tiffany's? She said, I think I remember the film as I recall. I think we both kind of liked it. And I said, well, that's the one thing we got. Welcome to Boston, everybody. It's CB flying solo here. We're back at it, 2025. Hope to be back, joined by the crew very shortly. But it's me flying solo here for this first edition of 2025, talking all things NFL playoffs and much more going on. But hope everybody had a great holiday season. Wanted to hop on and just kind of get in front of everybody and talk about all the things that are going, so much going on out there, particularly in football. Wildcard weekend in the books. To be honest, kind of sucked. The matchups are pretty pitiful, if to say the least. I mean, jumping right in, the Texans and Chargers. Texans, I actually bet on the Chargers to win that, and they just absolutely didn't show up to play professional football whatsoever. They showed up to play essentially D level minor league football, and the Texans showed up. They showed up, and they showed up in a big way. From all the trash talk, Rex Ryan saying that they were essentially a bye week for the Chargers, just fueled the fire there. So they've got the hot hand right now, but an uneventful game, pitiful game, and then another one, the Ravens and Steelers, pitiful game. The Steelers look like the Steelers of the last 5 or 6 years since Ben Roethlisberger retired, where they will go 9-8, a little above 500. Have a winning season, maybe make it to the playoffs, and do absolutely nothing when the lights come on. They need to figure that out, and they need to figure it out quick. They're coming into a rough offseason where they have a ton of free agents. I think Najee Harris is a free agent. Both their quarterbacks are free agents. So what the hell are you going to do, Mike Tomlin? What are you going to do in the offseason? When March comes, it's going to get a little tricky whatsoever for them. And it's, what do you do? Do you hang on to Justin Fields or Russ Wilson? You can't keep both. Do you stopgap with like a Kirk Cousins or a Sam Darnold, who's a free agent as well, if you want kind of an interim solution if you don't like any of the draft picks? Or do you trade and trade up and try to get a high draft pick if you like any of the quarterbacks out there? I don't know. They got to figure it out, but it doesn't look good for them. But we're going to talk about offseason later on. We're still in playoff mode. Ravens looked solid. Texans looked solid as well. The Bills just absolutely steamrolled the Denver Broncos. And I saw a lot of betting sites actually picking the Broncos, saying the Broncos matched up well with them, and they didn't like that for the Bills. But the Bills absolutely absolutely steamrolled them. Just literally drew a Cadillac Alante right up to Denver and said, "Hey, you're in our house." And Josh Allen showed everybody why he's essentially probably the best quarterback in the league right now. Those guys are just absolutely lucky the Cincinnati Bengals didn't sneak in, because I think the Cincinnati Bengals had that kind of late season momentum that if a couple of games went their way earlier in the season, I think the Bengals could be making some noise right now. But Bengals are in Cancun along with half of the other league right now. You saw the Rams absolutely just demolish the Vikings. The Vikings remind me of the Eagles of last year, where they went off to an extreme hot streak run, like, oh my God, this is the best team. They got to sign Sam Darnold to this huge contract. They found this guy. They found their guy. They could get rid of. They could trade J.J. McCarthy for draft picks. Just kind of like fantasy booking the whole thing. Getting a little out of hand, while the Rams just said not so fast, and sent them back to the Twin Cities empty-handed and with a lot of questions. Is Sam Darnold their guy? Is he the long-term solution, or was this just like, has he been figured out? Has he been figured out? That's the big question for the Minnesota Vikings. Or do they go with J.J. McCarthy? They also have Daniel Jones. Doesn't matter anyway. He's on the roster, just taking up space, making a lot of money, doing little of nothing. But the Vikings still have a solid team, and I think they're going into a good offseason where They have options, so they just need to kind of choose wisely. We saw what happened. Speaking of Daniel Jones, if you sign the wrong guy to a big money deal, you're stuck. Same with the Cleveland Browns. They signed a guy to a big money deal, and they're stuck. They have an anchor around their neck for the next several years. So we'll see what happens there. We saw a thrilling game, the Commanders and the Buccaneers. This one was toss-up. It was tough to bet on this one. It could have really gone either way. But I really like Jaden Daniels, and I'm coming from an Eagles fan, but trying to be unbiased. Really like him. I think he's got a lot of promise and potential. Super talented quarterback, and I think very, very bright future as they win their first playoff game in 20 years, 19 years. I mean, the 2005 season, so it was January 2006. They won. Mark Brunell was the quarterback during that game. I remember that. I remember that season. I think I was on a cruise in the Cozumel or something like that when that playoff game was going on. I remember that. I was trying to talk it up with some of the ladies that happen to be on the cruise as well, and all that sort of thing. But Commanders look sharp, and we'll see how they make out in the second round. They've got a lot of momentum as well. Jaden Daniels is one of my go-to prop bet guys. Particularly, he's had at least averaging. I'd say he's a solid for picking plus 1.5 touchdowns a game. And at most, and it didn't help me in the last game, but at most at least 50 rushing yards. Those two paired together, you should win a couple of dollars on most games. And the Eagles absolutely showed up. The defense showed up. They look a little shaky. They didn't look that great. And I'll tell you what, they got to figure out as they get to the next round what's going on in the passing game. And what is it with wide receivers? They act like crazy people. A.J. Brown's reading a romance novel on the beach while the middle of the playoff game where the game is in reach what's going on there? Tyreek Hill's crazy person as well. Just everybody. It just goes back to Terrell. What is it with the wide receiver position? Everybody is just like out of their mind. But we'll see what happens. The Eagles pulled it out. Their defense looked solid. The passing game looked horrible. They got to figure that out. And Saquon looked like Saquon. And if they can turn the pass game on when they do, I don't think anybody beats this team. And that's just, I'm not being biased. I just think that's the case. They figure out the defense. The running game is absolutely stellar. They just need to figure out who's going to show up in terms of the passing game. Is it going to be Jalen Hurts just making guys challenge him, and is he going to make those critical plays to A.J. Brown down the field and Devontae Smith? He's got the talent on the roster. Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, even Jahan Dotson showed up the last couple of games. I don't know where he's been all year. I think he's got more production in the last quarter or a couple of quarters than he has all season, which is nice to see. The talent is endless on this roster. It really comes down to, number one, Jalen Hurts, to make those decisions. And if he's locked in, he's loaded, and he's motivated, and he seems like a guy that if he's challenged, if he's questioned, he gets angry, he gets pissed off, and he wants to go out there and prove that he's that guy. And he did. Like a couple of weeks ago when there was questions. Is there chemistry problems between him and A.J. Brown, and the passing game is non-existent, and it's all Jalen Hurts, and and what happened after that? He came out and just absolutely picked the defense apart. He's got the talent. We know he can make it happen. He just has to make it happen, and now is the critical time to do that. They're coming up against a hot L.A. Rams team. I said St. Louis Rams. It's been a hot minute. Against a hot L.A. Rams team who absolutely just steamrolled the Vikings. And the Eagles have to play their best football of the season this coming weekend. If they don't, they will be going home, and they will be one of the next wave of memes of the laughingstock of the NFL. Along with the Dallas Cowboys and the Cleveland Browns and the New York Jets. And they're going to be right up there because Nick Sirianni will be questioned again. Jalen Hurts will be questioned again. They have to get to the NFC Championship game. This is the year to do it. They have a better team than they had in 2022 when they were a couple of plays away from beating the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl that year. They have to do it this year, but they have to get past the Rams first. And it's going to be a tough road to get there because along the other side of the coin, you've got the Commanders and Lions. You've got the Detroit Lions have been playing the best football in the conference all season long for a long period of time. They look like one cohesive unit. They look like they show up anywhere, anytime, and they will beat the living snot out of anybody that gets in their way. And they're led by their fearless leader Dan Campbell. And I have a tough time betting against the Detroit Lions. So I'm going to pick the Lions to edge out the Washington Commanders. Really, I think without problem. I mean, they've got a tough hill to climb. The Commanders, we've got a young team. They're going into a hostile environment. The Lions want to get back to that NFC Championship game, get that game back that they had within reach last year. The Lions, now is their time. They're seeing red right now, and I don't think they're going to have any problem with the Commanders next weekend. As for the Eagles and the Rams, it's going to be a close one, but I just have a tough time. I think the Eagles' defense will step up, make the necessary adjustments. I think Saquon will have a big day as well. And I think they're going to do just enough to get past this and advance to the NFC Championship game. So it's going to be a close one. I think it's also weather's going to play. It's going to be cold. They're going to be in Philadelphia, and I think it's going to be a tough outing for the Rams to kind of play their high-flying indoor football and do the things that they do at Lincoln Financial Field in a very cold January afternoon game. So we'll see. That's what I'm seeing for the NFC. AFC, we've got the Chiefs and Texans. The Texans have their work cut out for them. But if they can muster up enough speak good things into the universe and pull out a little New York Giants or the 2007, maybe they can make the unthinkable happen and unseat the number one seed back-to-back world champion Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium. That would be one of those talked about things for a long time. And if they're able to do that, then I wouldn't put it past the Texans with the whole damn thing come February 9th at Super Bowl 49. God, it's 49 already. God, I remember 39. 39. It was the Donovan McNabb threw up in the Super Bowl, Jacksonville, Florida. I always thought it was cool that there was guys, hedge fund guys, driving their boats down the coast and parking it there and going to whatever it was called. Everbank Stadium was called at the time, but they were going to and then the Eagles should have had that. Donovan McNabb blew up. And Terrell Owens, I just remember, had an unbelievable game, coming off only a couple of weeks after breaking his or a high ankle sprain, is almost like a broken ankle or something like that he had, and just put up 109 yards, I think it was, a bunch of catches, just absolutely looked phenomenal. They just couldn't get it done. I can't believe it's 20 years ago already. 20 years ago. But time flies when you're having fun, or you're not having fun. You're having the time of your life, or whatever time you're having. Time does fly fast. And I'm happy you're here with me, flying solo again. Hope my captains are back soon. I'm all hopped up on Celsius. I'm ready to go, and I'm ready to go for a busy and hopefully engaging and entertaining NFL divisional round playoff weekend. And then what we have should be most likely, this will be the absolute game of the week. I think just get your popcorn ready for this one. The Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen go to meet the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson in what should be. I mean, this is a too close to call. This is a tough one. I'm gonna pick Josh Allen and the Bills to actually get it done. They're at home. They've got the momentum. They've had more momentum, I think, than past years. I think now is their time. This is like the Lions on the other side. This is the time. If they're gonna go anywhere in this window of success that they're having, now is the time for them. I would not put it past to see a Lions versus Bills Super Bowl. And if you would have asked me 10 years ago, the Lions and Bills would have been an awful sounding Thursday night football game. Would actually make for a really entertaining Super Bowl matchup. So I think that I'm going to pick a very hard, fought-out, very high-scoring, entertaining game. I'm going to take the over in that one, and I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills in that. And I think just Josh Allen has matured, and I'm hopefully is in the groove that he's in, and is going to ride that success he had all season long, and then last week as well, just absolutely demolishing the Broncos and taking care of business at Highmark Stadium. It'll be a fun matchup. It'll be a fun matchup. That's definitely one that you don't want to miss. Speaking of the Bills, you see the renderings for their new stadium. It's pretty cool. So I think it's stadiums that they're coming out with are really, really cool. It's something that I'm excited about. Also, they just announced Philadelphia 76ers are staying in South Philadelphia. Thank God. Thank God. They had renderings and plans for the last couple of years to move to Center City and build an arena right over top. It's kind of a half of a shopping mall right over top of a train station, and it would have been kind of like a Madison Square Garden-esque type of system where the train comes right up underneath, and there you're at the game. It would have been horrendous for traffic, and I just didn't think it makes sense if you got the Flyers and everybody else and the Phillies and the Eagles and all the entertainment aspect of sports in that sports stadium district. Why are you going to have this outlying building in another part of town where the traffic is absolutely horrendous? I tried to get to a Sixers game, drove through Center City once. I got there halftime. It's not a tough drive. The way they have it now in South Philadelphia, you drive right over the Walt Whitman Bridge, and you drop yourself right into this little neighborhood. There's parking lots everywhere. And it's all right there, all in one little area. It's great. It's been like that for the last 30 years, and I just really hope it doesn't change, and I'm happy they're not. It sounds like it's not. That they work something out with Comcast for them, the Flyers, to share this new building. So excited about that. But playoff football, I'm excited. Going into the offseason, I would not want to be the New York Jets or Cleveland Browns or the Dallas Cowboys for that matter. Tough decisions to make, straddled by terrible contracts and aging players and not a lot of success to show for it. So a lot of those teams have to figure a lot of things out. But we will talk more about NFL offseason after the playoffs and see where it goes. But a couple other things in the news that I wanted to kind of talk about a little bit that caught my eye a little bit. I'm a big boxing guy, and I think boxing's kind of going through one of those transitional periods. A lot of the stars are aging out, and the distribution is a little weird right now. Tyson Fury just announced his retirement on social media. We'll see if that sticks. He's announced his retirement like 6 other times, so we'll see if this actually sticks. I think it actually sticks this time. He has nothing more to prove at this point. He had his 2 matchups against Usyk for the undisputed title and couldn't get it done. He's done everything you can imagine in the boxing world. Made a ton of money as well. Canelo is getting older, inching towards retirement. Vasily Lomachenko getting a little bit older, kind of on the fence about retirement as well. And Tank Davis has also said he's thinking about retiring in the next couple of years. So boxing needs some new stars. They do, and it's going to be tough for them because the last couple of years, when people think of boxing, they think of these kind of like sideshow, freak show matchups between the Paul brothers and former UFC fighters or celebrities, and really kind of a carnival act. That's what boxing's become. But they need some fresh blood. I mean, we've seen Anthony Joshua kind of take a bunch of losses, and that kind of aura is gone. The bloom's off that rose. We haven't seen the next big star in really any weight class. And I think a big problem of that ties directly to the visibility, the discoverability. We're in this kind of weird transition period in the media landscape where you don't know what channel it is. I mean, you used to have HBO boxing and Showtime boxing, and you could see all these guys come up and kind of build their star power. Used to have Friday night fights on ESPN, and ESPN still has Top Rank boxing, but now everything's either on DAZN or even the PBC was supposed to be the answer to all this, with the time buys on regular broadcast television, and that kind of fizzled out, and they're still only doing their pay-per-view events on Amazon Prime, but the matchups haven't been that great. Nothing to get like that I'm willing to plunk down $80 for. And I think that's a lot of the problem. They need to get a lot of these things on free TV, or get some buzz to get back in the sport. But one thing I think that will help with that, there's been rumors going around, and there was a New York Times article that TKO and the UFC and the group that owns the UFC and WWE are planning to launch a boxing venture in conjunction with Saudi Arabia at some point, and announcements will be coming in the next couple of months, hopefully. And the reason why I think this works well, and this is intriguing, because of the marketing machine of TKO and the UFC and the infrastructure they've built there. I think what they can do is endless. They know how to build stars. They know how to get they negotiate better than anybody in the business. Ari Emanuel is an absolute savage when it comes to business and building things, and I think this is the prime opportunity. He's a fan of owning sports. He essentially owns the mixed martial arts, community with the UFC, the biggest organization. He owns now the WWE, the largest professional wrestling organization in the world. He stated he wanted to buy F1. I guess that didn't work out for that. Now I think boxing's got a prime opportunity for the picking, for somebody that's willing to invest in it and make it work and build stars in kind of a walled garden with their own championship belts, and where they can kind of control the narrative and the matchups and kind of strip boxing down to the studs and start over. And I think that's what needs to happen here, because I think the days of the Floyd Mayweathers and the Manny Pacquiaos and the Oscar De La Hoyas commanding 20, 30, 40, 50 million dollars per fight versus somebody, and promoters losing their ass over it, unless you get the outlier where you're able to draw 2 to 4 million pay-per-view buys. That's only happened a handful of times in the last 20 years, with the Manny Pacquiao-Mayweather fight in 2015, the Mayweather-McGregor fight from 2017, and a couple of times when Mayweather was towards the end of his career. His deal with Showtime, where he fought Canelo and Cotto and all those guys. But those days are gone right now. Showtime's ditched boxing. HBO said sayonara to boxing. They need to just kind of start over. Deontay Wilder is kind of on the outs right now and also taking some losses. They need to start over, and I think TKO is the right partner to do that. They're talking about doing a kind of a prospect league, and I think my prediction is they start out as that, and they build up some stars and hope that they generate enough interest to where they build up into those guys to being their pay-per-view stars, and they introduce new championship belts. And then hopefully they get enough momentum that they can sign some of the other aging stars that are out there, like an Usyk or a Canelo or somebody else that's got that kind of star power. Bring them into this new boxing walled garden, this new league, whatever this is going to be called, whatever the infrastructure is going to be. And they kind of follow the UFC model that's been successful for the last 30 years at this point. But it's going to take a while. It's not going to happen overnight. This is going to be a 5 to 10 year project, if not longer. And it's not a guarantee that it's going to work. I really bought into the PBC model 10 years ago when they announced that they were going to do these time buys on Fox, NBC, CBS, and ABC, and all these big mainstream outlets, and they're going to put the glitz and glam back in boxing. They're going to have stages and really good production, and they're going to have all these big stars. And what happened? Nothing happened like notable. I mean, they put on some great fights, but here we are 10 years later, and all that is gone. They were never able to get like a big time, momentum with a television deal that could make them sustainable for the long-term, endless future. So we will see what happens there. But that's something to look for. But it's 2025. I'm excited. I'm trying to hope everybody out there is doing well, everybody that's tuning in, and thank you for being with me. I just want to come on for a little bit and say hello. Trying to get back in shape a little bit. Got my blue belt in jiu-jitsu. Trying to get a little bit better, trying to put on a little bit of size. I'm doing the 75 hard again. If anybody hasn't checked that out, if you want to build some discipline, check out 75hard.com and give it a shot. It's really good at building discipline. It's not so much a nutrition plan or a fitness plan. It's a mental toughness challenge where it forces you to do things you're not comfortable doing on a regular basis, repeating over and over and over and over again for 75 straight days. It will create good habits. It'll create good habits. If you need good habits, this will help you create it. So should be a fun weekend ahead. Divisional round playoffs. It's fun. Super Bowl is on the horizon, and a lot of other things coming up as well. Getting ready for. I'm excited. Hopefully, they announce some good concerts soon. Kind of bummed with the lineups so far that I'm seeing. Really excited. Last year, I went to a bunch of good ones. I went to saw Hardy. I went to saw Creed. I feel like they're coming back on tour again. That was a fun show, the Summer of '99 tour. If you can get out to it, it's a lot of fun to crack open a couple of cold ones and go out and sing. I'm 6 feet from the edge, and I'm thinking maybe 6 feet ain't so far down. It's not. So Creed was a great show. I saw Billy Joel last year as well. I think he's going back on tour with Stevie Nicks, doing a stadium tour. I believe I saw Korn is going to be on tour as well. But a lot of other ones haven't been announced yet. But excited for the warmer weather, concert season, and getting a little rowdy. Little boat action, a little beach action, little brewski action, and all that. But until that, I'll be freezing down here at the bar, and hopped up on coffee, and hoping that the Eagles cannot just choke again, like they did last year. But that's all I've got for this little return edition. But let me know your thoughts are on the playoffs. Get at us and engage with us on wherever you get your podcasts, wherever you get your social media as well. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok, Facebook, X. Who do you think? Who's your star? Who are your picks? Your money picks for the NFL playoffs? Just some prop players that I think are going to do really well. I really like Saquon Barkley to be a big anytime TD scorer. I really like Jaden Daniels for rushing touchdowns. I really like Puka Nacua for the Rams, and for Josh Allen for the Bills, I think is going to put up some really solid numbers. I like that, and really, the Chiefs are a tough one right now. They're a little bit of a different Chiefs team than last year's, but they're older, they're wiser, and they know how to win. That's one thing for sure, and that's the only thing you need at the end of the day. It's really all that matters. But who do you think? Who do you like in the playoffs? Let us know. Get at us on social media, on X, on Facebook, on TikTok, and Instagram. Comment and follow us on there too. I try to post some funny little reel things. Hopefully it'll give you brighten your day just a little bit on social media as well. And of course, be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. We're everywhere. We're all over the place. We're all over the place, babes, and it's good to see everyone again. And wishing everybody a happy and healthy and a prosperous 2025 from all of those here at Boston Out. Big shout out to AD and Donnie B and Chris G and everybody else from the Boston Out fam. Hope to have them back here with us very soon. I'm sure they're going to give me a bunch of shit next time I see them, which is always welcome. And we'll get some fun antics going with the crazy questions, and and the how much would you pay to do some crazy stuff segments. Maybe we'll get a little wing action going again. Once I'm off the 75 hard plan, a little hot sauce challenge. I got a whole new set up here, this Brewers pack somebody got me as a Christmas gift. All kinds of good stuff in there. Carolina Reaper, that sounds pretty good. But that's all the time that I have for you here on this return edition of Bossin' Out. For CB, this episode is brought to you by my Discover card, because I don't have sponsors, and that's where I'm paying for the hosting with. But for CB, get at us on social media and follow us wherever you get your podcasts. For CB, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time on Bossin' Out. Peace!